Hello there, everyone. This is Chris Wilkie with FBA Master, and I want to take the time to apologize for the error with the webinar this evening. It's 8:26. I've been working on getting the webinar going now for about an hour, so it's not going to work this evening. We're going to postpone it, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging since I know a lot of you took the time and set aside to go over creating Q4 cash strategies. We're going to hit on some of that right now. So I'm going to do a short little video, could be 15, 20 minutes long, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what I know about Q4 cash strategies. And then we're going to bring in Kevin next week or the week after, according to his schedule, and pull him in, and we're actually going to do kind of a bonus webinar that's going to focus even more on specific ways you can tailor your cash flow as we enter Q4. Okay, so this video is being recorded right now. I was trying to do the webinar. I was all prepared. We're going to at least go through a little bit of this now. So Q4 starts here in, let's see, 30 days of September. We got 10 days left of September, and then we hit Q4 time. So now you guys are wondering, why in the world should I worry about cash flow? Let me give you a little story. So I was selling last Christmas, and I was out running around like a crazy person and sourcing as much as I possibly could. You know where the problem lies? Is I would go out, say I was going to a Walgreens or a Walmart buying large quantities of items, and my credit card would max out. Just all of a sudden it'd be like declined. It'd be a why? Well, I had taken out so much in that purchase period that I was stuck. I had carts and carts full of stuff, great deals, easy returns, but the problem was I wasn't able to purchase those items. So it was a big issue of that sense. I was basically leaving money in a cart. Literally, as I was leaving the store, I was pushing it away going, I don't have the cash to buy this. So when you actually look at a business perspective of things, cash is king. A lot of businesses will actually liquidate items at lower margins so that they can have cash so they can invest in future products down the road. So the whole idea of a slow dime or a fast dime or a slow nickel. No, other way. Fast nickel, slow dime. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say there. So if you do it the slow way, you buy a product, get very high returns, you have cash that's invested into products for long periods of time. Now I'll tell you this much, most retail establishments do not operate this way. They operate in kind of the fast turn model. So they want to get stuff in, they want to sell it, they want to get their cash, and they want to do it all over again. It's the whole inventory turnover kind of thing. So the idea is that if I buy one item for $10 and I can make a $6 profit, that's a 60% return on my investment. If I can do that every week of the year, I get 52 times $6. I can keep building that cash flow. I can build that snowball that keeps going. So as I do that, you start realizing that you can go through, and if you had one item that you were going to make $20 of profit on, and you held it for 3 months, which one really made you the most money? The fast turn idea, or having the cash available to invest in other items that can give you a return, actually provides you kind of a compounding interest feel to it. So say it was the $10 item. You can go in and buy that $10 item, sell it for $6. All of a sudden you have $16 cash in your hand in under a week. What can you do with that $16? You can go reinvest that in the same type of products. So now you may not be able to get a full product at that $6 point, but say you buy another one at $10, you're able to get that $6. So then those next products, next time you get that cash in hand after that next week, you can go buy 2 of those items and make $12. Then you can put 3 of them and make $18. And you can start adding that money, and you can use the money to make money. That's where the real key is. It's the whole idea of compounding interest. So that's why creating a Q4 cash strategy is really important, because as you start that snowball effect, the biggest issue is when you run out of snow. So, but case in point, go back to me sourcing a few years, or last year. It's over been the last few years as well. So as I'm sourcing, if I'm running out of money or capital to invest into products, and I'm sitting there waiting to get paid on stuff, I need to find a way to mitigate that. So you got to think about it a few different ways. So if I am starting to try to figure out how am I going to get the cash, I can start doing something where I lower my margins. So if I need my money turned around quicker, I know based upon supply and demand, the lower price points will sell quicker than higher price points. Yes, you are giving up a little bit of money. You're not pushing it to the maximum price point. But at the same time, you're getting that cash back to be able to reinvest it in something that's more profitable. So you reduce those margins a little bit. And then once you get to a point, as you're going into the Q4 season, you need to start figuring out what in the world do you want to get return on items. Are you going to be greedy or smart or make a lot of money? Or are you going to be a little more conservative and try to build that cash flow coming in a little quicker? You need to go with that pre-established notion of what your price or return margin, that threshold is going to be. Then you want to build and you want to hit that. Yeah, if you get above it, great. So let's say, for instance, I want to get 30% return on my investment within a week and a half, 2 weeks. Okay, I've set numbers to it. I've created a SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, attainable, and timely. Okay, realistic as well if we want to put the R in there. So now I want to get this money at a 30% return. So if I can list a product at 60% and sell it, great, as long as it's within my time frame. I'm never going to argue for more. I'm never going to argue against getting more money out of something. But at a point, I've got to say 30% return. I'm not going to buy something if I can't get that, and I'm not going to buy at ranks that aren't going to allow me to sell it that quickly. I want to make sure that I can turn that very quickly there. Okay? So as you're doing that, that really starts shifting the way you buy items. You stop buying so much of those longer tail items and you start really pushing it into items that are a little bit faster moving throughout the Christmas season. So now what's that really mean? Now, as you're starting to buy this stuff, how many of something should you buy? Okay, this is a great question. Say I know, let's use a random example. There's those finger puppets this year. Say you have those finger puppet things and you decide you want to buy them. Should you buy 100? Should you buy 1,000? Should you buy 5? How in the world do you ever know how many you should purchase if you're going into Q4? Because if you start tying your money up in something, then you got to figure out how quick that stuff is going to sell. It really starts causing this kind of an issue of how many should I really buy? So that's why Q4 prep should have been done pretty much already, but is really important as we look at it right now. You should only buy as much as you need for it to hit to the next shipment, okay? You want to run a lean supply chain here. Now, when I mean lean supply chain, what you don't want to do is you don't want to have 100 units of something sitting in your closet or your garage. Why is that? Because if the price tanks or goes away or changes, you are stuck with a physical product in hand. Cash is king. You want to hit that cash side of things. So I would rather not go buy stacks and stacks of products to sit in my garage and hope they may sell at another point, or I'm holding out to a little bit later on. I'm going to build something that I know I'm going to sell, and I know I'm going to sell it within this certain time frame, and I'm going to get that done so I get that cash back in my hand. How do I do this? For many years, my big go-to have been Walgreens toys. I'll go in, I'll buy the toys when they're on extreme sale during different parts of the year. They start doing that rotating through here. And I take those and I only buy enough to get me to the next sale. I'm going to be sending them in, getting them in there. I'm filling up my supply chain. I'm going to push all that through. As I build up that supply chain, as I push those through, I'm going to sell them and I get my money back at that next pay period. Okay? So as I get to that next pay period, I'm going to be able to get that out, and immediately I'm going to have the cash in hand to go buy the next set to go do this rotating bit. Now I'm going to be able to adjust something. If I was under in my demand forecast, I can bump it up a little bit. If I was over on it, I may want to hold out and not buy as many. But I know as I get closer to Christmas, the quantity demanded is going to go up, so I'm going to have to provide more at that point in time. So I can start using that judgment. I'm going to start staggering it. I'm going to start sending a few more in as I get closer to the holidays, but I'm going to give myself a cushion. You want to have that steady supply chain in. You don't want to get hosed with products in hand that aren't going to sell. You especially don't want to get hosed with products that are going to the warehouse that all of a sudden may tank in price. You may not be able to sell anymore. You may have a lower cost point somewhere else, so then you may not be able to be competitive. Here's another concept that you may want to consider as you're building that strategy. Say you have a product that you could lose money on. Okay, is it better to lose $5 on a product that you should have made $20 on and get that cash and reinvest it, or should you wait it out till that price point hits? It's a really hard discussion. Not a lot of people like to talk about this. What you got to do is you got to realize that you got to cut your losses sometimes. And when you cut those losses, and all of a sudden you can get that cash back in your hand, you can make smarter investments. So think about the stock market. If I buy a dud stock, am I just going to hold it because I think it's a good idea and it may come back later? I've already lost what I've put into it. I'm going to get what I can out of it now, and I'm going to use that money and reinvest it and try to make my money back on that money. Okay? It's a different way of looking at things. A lot of people don't think that way because they thought when they bought it they were going to get X amount out of something. Just because you thought that when you purchase it doesn't mean that's what someone's going to be willing to pay when it comes time to make that exchange. Okay? Supply and demand curves are constantly shifting. You guys can tell I'm teaching an econ class right now, but they're constantly shifting. And as you shift those curves, the way people interact or the quantity demanded or the quantity supplied is going to change. You have people who are speculating right now. You have some people who are buying wholesale, large quantities of item, they're going deep in it. They're sitting there going, I know this is going to sell. I'm speculating, so I'm going to hold this because I think the product's going to go out of stock later on. You know what? They're going to be able to make good money at that point. But the real smart ones are the ones who are making money up until they can find the next product and then just make money in those gaps. Information is the key here in Q4. Information and cash. So when you find something that's a great deal, that's selling really well, you need to have that cash sitting there, ready to make that purchase. You need to be able to have your processes down so that when you need to put the products into the warehouse, you know exactly how long it's going to take you. You're going to get those out the door, and you know how many you need to buy. Which it's an interesting balance. So say you have $1,000 laying around. You need to quickly determine how you're going to spend that. So if you invest everything right now, and you go out and spend $1,000 on products today, and you send those in, and your products don't sell for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, what are you going to do? Are you going to miss out on all the opportunities of the items that were sitting on the shelves that you could have made money on at a quicker pace just because you're holding out for maybe an 80% return over a 60% return? You got to ask yourself those questions. That's what you're going to start building that Q4 strategy along. And that's where that cash comes in handy. So now this is another thing people don't really like to chat about is credit cards, cash. How does that whole system work? So we look at a credit card. There's obviously people that will tell you never use a credit card. I will be one that will tell you this. Never use a credit card if you don't understand how a credit card works. If you understand how a credit card works and can manage it appropriately, it's a very powerful tool to use the leverage to make product purchases and use other people's money to make money. That being said, understand that anytime you sell an item that you have other people's money on the line with, you are responsible if that makes money or loses money. There's a risk associated with it. If you're not able to turn the product over in the time that you think it is, you will actually get penalized monetarily by a credit card company with the interest. So it's a great way, but there could be, say you really screw up and you buy $5,000 worth of something and you can't sell it for 6 months. That really ends up being a crap ton of money that you actually had to pay for your mistake. So sometimes it'd be better to sell that off quickly or not. So it's an idea. Understand how that plays into your Q4 cash strategy. I know a lot of people who source and all they do is use credit cards. I would be one of them. I don't like having the cash around. I'd rather use somebody else's money to make my money and then I'll reinvest that and keep on going. Then you build this cash snowball that you can start using at that point, and then basically you're just gaining the rewards from credit cards and you're paying it off immediately as you go through. It's nice to have that cash bubble in the back end, but it takes some time to get there. So what if you're new this year? What if you are wanting to expand? What if you're really trying to get into the Q4 season and you don't really know what to do? You don't have a bunch of cash laying around. You don't have high credit limits on cards. You don't know what to do. So, a few things you can do. You can start planning a cash strategy of how much you're going to spend each week and how much you're going to make on that and how quickly you're going to sell those items. You can start projecting. So you build that strategy. I mean, it's only a 12-week period. If you carry into January, it'd be 16 weeks. It doesn't take long to figure out how much you're going to spend. Write it down, okay? Figure out what your budget is for the Q4 season. Lay it out what you're going to spend when. Figure out how quickly you're going to get that turned around. See how fast that cash gets back into your system. And you can start figuring out what your in projected total should be at the end of January. Okay, so let's say I have $10,000. I'm going into October here. Say my goal is that I'm going to spend $5,000 the first week, $5,000 the second week. I'm going to have everything done by the end of October, sold, ready to go, and I need to make 30% on my margins. Okay, so 5,000, 5,000, sent in, sent in. I need to find products that I know are going to flip in under 2 weeks. So I'm going to get to that point. Once I get to that point, after that October, all of a sudden I can do the math, and it's going to show that I will have made at least I should have at least $13,000 sitting in my bank account. Okay, I should get my $10,000 back for a capital investment, and then on top of that, I should get the 30% back that I made in margins. Okay, so if I have that 13% total sitting there, or $13,000 total, I can now figure out what I'm going to do for November. Okay, I can say I'm going to spend $10,000 the first week. I'm going to turn that over in 2 weeks. I'm going to get 20% return. Okay, so now I'm going to have another $2,000, and at that point, I'm going to invest $15,000 in, and I'm going to sell that all before December 1st. Okay, so now I can start figuring out my numbers and work a little bit farther there. So as you start projecting this, you can start figuring out what you're doing. Okay, so that's an interesting way of doing this. Now, also what I want to tell you, there's another way, and this is kind of what we're going to talk about a little with Kevin next time, is you can actually use a system like Payability, where you can start getting daily payouts so that you can start pushing that income in, and as soon as you sell it, you can have the money the next day. You can take a set percentage out, so say whatever their percentage is right this moment, say it's 5% of your income for the month. All you got to do is take your margins and go from 30% to 35%, and all of a sudden you're playing with the house's money of sorts. But it's really your money. You don't have the risk of, okay, I'm going to lose this money that I'm going to owe on a credit card forever and ever and ever. You're actually paying for the money to have right there. So it's an interesting way of looking at it. If you're interested in that, I'm not going to push it anymore. We'll talk with Kevin on stuff because he's going to have a lot more information. I'm an econ guy, not a finance guy. Well, finance guy for right. Yeah, it is coming. But anyway, you can go.payability.com/FBA Master. It's going to give you all of the information right there. I'll share the link under this, but it's an interesting way of looking at things. It's all in how you are able to utilize cash, turn it into margin, and then reinvest that cash on top of it again. Okay? So again, my apologies about the webinar this evening. I hope this video helps. It's a nice little recording. I'll get Kevin back scheduled here. I feel horrible about all of this, so I wanted to get this little video done for you guys, and I will talk to you all a little bit later. Peace.